Go see those kids. They saw my Facebook.
Good afternoon. It's now just slightly after 4, and I'd like to call the meeting of the State Allocation Board to order. Secretary, can you please call the roll?
Certainly. Senator Allen, Senator Nguyen, Senator Pan, Assemblymember Nazarian, Assemblymember Chavez,
Here.
Assemblymember O'Donnell, Juan Morales,
Here.
Cesar Diaz,
Here.
Jeffrey McGuire,
Here.
Jacqueline Wong Hernandez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. So our next order of business is going to be to approve the minutes for the January 24th meeting. Is there any comment from the board? Everybody hopefully has looked at the minutes. And any comments from the public? All right, seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to adopt.
All right, motion by Mr. Diaz, second by Assemblymember Chavez. I'm sorry, do I just, without objection? Are we okay? Great. Then without objection, the minutes are approved. And next we have the executive officer report.
Yes. Hi, we just want to highlight a few things tonight. We have an upcoming bond sale. The treasurers have a public offering, and that closes March 15th. And with that, all those folks that actually submitted a certification before the early part of December will have the ability to compete for those bond funds. So that's great news for the program. So that is a spring bond sale that will be bringing back projects, and we'll be moving the meeting from March 28th to March 21st, so we can take action on that. And the next highlight, we'd like to share with the board that we had a career tech education filing round, and that round was introduced in August by the board, and we had a number of applicants that came through the Department of Education. There was 300 interested parties, and with that, there was 181 folks that actually had a high enough score to compete for those bond funds. So it's $125 million that's in the bucket right now for that competition of funds. And we closed up the funding cycle, so districts had the ability to submit a funding application as a result. And we had 67 interested parties that came in with their electronic filing, online filed application. So that's great news out of the 181. So the rest came in via paper. So we're excited about that opportunity. And again, we'll be working with Department of Education on the next filing round. And that's it.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments from the board? Or any testimony from the public? Okay, well then moving right along. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a consent agenda, but there is one slight change I wanted to highlight to the board on the consent agenda. Page 10, we did receive communication late last night from Petaluma City Elementary School District, and they requested to withdraw their application. So as part of the consent agenda, we wanted to highlight to the board that that would be the only item that wouldn't be subject to approval tonight. So they're technically withdrawing their application.
Okay, did they give any reason or no? Okay, go ahead, Barbara. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, the reason they just wanted to wait to a later date to establish the new construction eligibility.
All right, thanks. Okay, well, is there any comment from the board on the on the consent agenda specifically, and then any questions or comments from the public? All right, then can I get a motion on the consent agenda? Moved by Mr. Diaz and second by Mr. Morales. And without objection, we'll adopt the consent agenda. Okay, next I've got financial reports.
On the financials, just wanted to highlight to the board, actually on page 71, that we did release $18.8 million in January 2018, and that was probably the last of the funds that were released as a result of the September apportionment. So we wanted to share that with the board as well. As far as the status of funds on page 73 and 74, we did want to highlight to the board, as part of the consent agenda, there's $41 million of approvals, and as a result of adjustments and grant approvals, and that represents 29 projects. And also, as far as adjustments for closeouts and increases, grant increases, there were $1.2 million of those project approvals, and that represents 13 projects. So that's the highlight for the financials. On page 89A, we did wanted to share with the board that we added another chart. And it's been great information as far as, I know Senator Pan wanted it a little bit more in depth about.
I think he'll be joining us, right?
Yeah, yes.
We'll let him know.
So we wanted to highlight that there's a new chart there, and that just breaks up the pupil population for the state of California and how the funds are being dispersed out of Prop 51.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Any questions or comments from board members? And then any public comment on this item? Okay. The next item we had on the agenda was appeals, but as has been noted, and hopefully everyone's aware that the appeal item has been withdrawn for now, and so we may hear that at some future time, but not today. And then we'll move on to action items. Go ahead, Barbara.
So on tab 7, we have our action item today, which is the balance of the funding being awarded to charter schools for preliminary charter school apportionments. So in this item, we are recommending a board approval of 24 unfunded preliminary charter school apportionments in the amount of a little over $263 million. And on page 101 of the item, we have included a table that shows the available funding under the Charter School Facility Program. We had Proposition 51 funding, and then there is a little bit from each of the earlier propositions that had charter school funds as well. And we are recommending to use those funds for this round as well. You'll note that there is $287.4 million available, and we're recommending approval of $263 million. The distinction there is that we cannot fully fund the next project in line. We are, however, asking in our third recommendation that the board allow this round to remain open through the balance of 2018 in the event that additional bond authority returns to the program, either through project rescissions, through loan repayments, or for projects that come in under what was reserved for them initially, so that we can continue to fund down the list of applications that are included on Attachment C. There's over 100 applicants that we did not have sufficient funding for, so we're recommending that we give them the opportunity if sufficient funding becomes available in 2018. And then also on page 108, just to draw your attention to the funding matrix, and this list shows all of the projects that are receiving funding under this filing round. Those in white, the board approved at the January meeting last month, and those shaded in yellow are presented today for approval for preliminary charter school apportionment. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the board? Okay, any public comment or questions on this item? Okay, then I think we'll entertain a motion. All right, Mr. Diaz moves the item, and Assemblymember Chavez seconds. Let's go ahead and do a voice vote on this, and we're going to give Senator Pan an opportunity to add on when he joins us.
Senator Nguyen? Aye. Okay, thank you. Assemblymember Chavez? Aye. Juan Morales? Cesar Diaz? Aye. Jeffrey McGuire?
Aye.
Jacqueline Wong Hernandez?
Aye.
Motion carries with the vote open.
Thank you. So we'll hold that. We'll allow Senator Pan to add on. We'll hold that the actual vote total open. Okay, so moving on to tab 8. Information items.
Yeah, information item on the workload list and the appeals log. So with that, we'll open it up. Any questions?
Did anybody have any questions on tab 8? No. Okay. Any public comment on this item, or any public comment on any other items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we're going to, I don't have any other business here, but we're not going to formally adjourn, allowing Senator Pan that opportunity. So I don't want to hold everybody here, though. What's our, aye, thank you. Thank you, Assembly Member.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
On the consent agenda? Thank you. And also, how do you vote on the CSFP action item? Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that concludes the State Allocation Board meeting. We are adjourned.